Hello, adventurers. Lex Gray here. Welcome to another entry. Today, we are exploring Morter's Travels Episode 9. Let's begin. So, quite a cliffhanger, and we've had a few of those. Morter is facing off against a much larger individual, a barbarian-esque bandit, the muscle of the group, of the Misfits. There is a spy behind him that works for the bandits, maybe indirectly, with a knife at his back, and then there's another bandit who, right in front of him, that Morter had his blade in his throat. Now, Griff has died. He has been killed, leaving Alban, most likely just with his mother, wherever she is. So, a couple of house notes here. One of my viewers caught that in the prior episode, I rolled a strong hit with matches, which means that introduces a much larger benefit. If you roll matches on either any result, you have to interpret it as you see. So a strong hit with matches is a benefit for your character, an extra benefit. A miss with matches is a very bad setback, which we also, I believe, had. So here's some notes I left for myself so we can get started. Everything I just said, basically, just noticed, oh yeah, that's pretty much what's happening right now. But what we got to figure out is how I'm going to carry over that strong match into this one. And if I'm thinking about it, currently we're at +3 health, +1 spirit, no supply. We've been stripped of our goods, and we only have +1 momentum because we're unprepared, which is the condition for not having any supply. And we're about to most likely set up in a combat here. However, because of that strong hit, I'm going to ask the Oracle what that strong hit might mean. That strong hit match. Maybe I can just call it a strong match. And a mismatch, that even works better. So, we're doing action roll here. So let's roll the dice. This is for action. And we got, let's see, 3, weaken, and then 49, hate. Okay, so something is going to happen. These two, weaken, hit, I'm going to write those down here. Weaken, hit, or hate. It has to happen for Morter's benefit. So most likely the weaken part of those two will apply to the bandits. The hate is going to be from someone else applying that weaken condition to the bandits, which means somebody is going to step in and help here. It makes sense. Weaken, hate. Someone hates the bandits for who they are, what they've been doing to Arlok. Remember, as I did that lore dump, as one of my commentaries pointed out, that Arlok has become kind of a operational condition for the unfortunate operational hub for the bandits, as they frequent this location settlement to steal goods when supplies arrive. So I'm thinking Arlok, because it's a coastal town, village, it has a dock, and most likely there are ships that stop by here to transport goods and humanitarian aid, etc. Most likely from either Cornerstone or the city of Halderith to help. But they don't know, remember, those cities, any good aid supplier does not know that Arlok is actually a breakpoint for our misfit bandit gang. So that's why they have that spy there who's currently, again, behind Morter. So these two things have to apply, which means somebody absolutely hates the bandits for what they've done to Arlok and turn it into some kind of joke of a location, some kind of criminal activity that gets frequented. Which means it's probably someone who's skilled enough to attack, to surprise attack the big guy at least. Now let's roll to see what this mystery hero, this mystery man, will do, or woman, mystery person, who they will attack while Morter is currently being interrogated, who is currently captured. So we're going to roll the dice, the d6. So 1 and 2 is the spy. 3 4 is the. Actually, no, I think well, yeah, we can do 3 of the bandits here. So 1 and 2 is the spy. 2 3 is the archer who's kind of who was at the blade with the throat from Mortar, and the 3 is the big guy. I'm sorry, 5 6 is the big guy. So now we're rolling the dice to see. Okay, it's the spy. So this helps because if the spy is taken out, this gives Mortar a chance to escape. He's skilled. That's one of the conditions I gave him. Not conditions, that's one of the characteristics I gave him. So, how does this go down? I'm thinking simply it's just an arrow to the head. I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took an arrow to the head. Still alive somehow. Quite the miracle. So, the spy, as the big guy, is supposed to, before he starts talking, there is a sudden arrow that just strikes the spy straight in the noggin from his side, and he falls back to the right, obviously. So the spy gets killed. I'm going to put that down here. Spy killed. From some mystery arrow that pops out of nowhere, just a, again, M. Night Shyamalan moment, an arrow just strikes the guy, and his eyes go across and falls to the right. This Mortar quickly notices, and the 2 remaining bandits, so I'm going to write that down here, 2 bandits left, they quickly just panic. The big guy's probably like surprised. The archer, he's instinctively, he's an archer, so instinct kicks in. He knows that there's someone. He quickly looks to the right where the arrow came from. So if we're looking at this at a overhead shot, here is the house. Here's the big guy. Here's Mortar. Here's the spy got shot. The arrow came from my left. So from your right in, which means the guy archer is this way. He's to my left. So he's west, coming in from the west, in the direction of the church. So an arrow just kills the spy, and now we have a couple of possible moves here. We could have face danger so that Mortar's attempting to escape or get into a clearing or get into safety without giving +1 modifier because of that potential bond we have whoever that was. And it would be either or. Also we can do enter the fray, which this will be a combat round. Even though we're not exactly you know what? With this sudden help, I'm going to give him +1 momentum. Remember, this sudden twist comes from the strong hit we had in the strong match we had in the last video that I missed. And again, that won't be the first time, won't be the last time. I will miss things. And as always, I appreciate the commenters pointing it out. That's good. I want you guys to watch, to take engagement with my videos. It means I'm doing something right. Enter the fray. I think most likely this will be enter the fray because we're going to have to escape. But if we're escaping, we're not necessarily taking them on. This might be a battle. Again, I have 3 options: face danger, enter the fray, or battle. I'm actually torn between face danger, because danger, you have the 5 options to roll your 5 attributes. And we are kind of doing something that is with edge, with speed. We're trying to escape. So, because combat would most likely be, our battle, I should say, is most likely when we are actually engaging in combat. So the real question here is, what would Mortar do in character? Would he attack head-on, directly to the guy's forehead, or escape? Because Mortar knows, again, he's skilled, while also obsessed. He's skilled in knowing that he is halfway, he's reduced in his health, he is low-spirited, he does not have the courage to fight. He knows he needs to resupply, he needs to rest, and escape. This is out of his control. This is out of his jurisdiction almost. So, we're going to face danger. Now, here's what we're going to do. You don't typically associate a bond with face danger. But because of this sudden advantage, I will give a I'm looking at secured advantage, but not when you assess a situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage. I think that might follow. Anyways, we're going to stick with face danger. This makes the most sense. We're attempting something risky, which we're doing, or we're reacting to an immediate threat, imminent threat, which the big guy is, but we have a chance of escape. So I'm going to do a +1 modifier on face danger. And we're rolling with speed, agility, or precision, which is edge. So that's 3 for my character. So that's +4 total on this roll. Here we go. +4 on this roll, including the house bond, as I call it. So that's a 9 and a 4, the 3. So that's going to be 5, 6, 7. It is a weak hit. I have 2 momentum, so I can't do much with that. I believe that's a 9. Yep. So that's a weak hit, which is okay. A weak hit, so you succeed but face troublesome cost. Choose one. You are delayed, lose advantage, face a new danger. You are tired, hurt, endure harm. You are dispirited, afraid, endure stress. You sacrifice resources. We have no supply left to do that. I only have 1 spirit left. And health is +3. The arrow, as it did indeed kill the spy, the knife just sliced on the back of Morter's back. Maybe has clothes. It just nicked him. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna endure harm to +2. Like so. So Morter quickly dives. He runs, just bolts to the left with that weak hit. And this allows him to escape temporarily. So the archer, the one of the bandits is an archer. He pulls his bow out and he's looking around. Who was that? And he kind of gets behind cover. The big guy, he's also looking in the distance while kind of stepping back a bit, but not a coward entirely. He's looking back, and he points to Motors and yells to the archer to get him, or maybe the big guy's going to chase us. So the archer's dealing with a potential another archer, while the big guy is going to go after us. I think that's most likely what's going to happen. So yeah, the big guy's going after us, and I'm going to attempt. We don't have really have much time to heal, but we're going to try to secure an advantage, as I said earlier. So basically, Morter, now that in the alleyways, which is his specialty, is he can probably hear the big guy running. You hear that like the Juggernaut is chasing him, and he's going to try to secure an advantage. We're not in combat just yet. We technically may be, but in my eyes, we're not in combat just yet. We are in a narrative transition between the two. So when you assess a situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage, we are doing that. This is we are literally trying to gain an advantage. This will be with shadow because it's in the literal shadows. So +4 on this next roll. The bond does not apply no longer. So here we go. +4, which is our shadow. And we have a 6 and a 7 with a 1, which means 5 does not work out for us. So, yeah, 6, 7, that's a 5 total, does not work out. I don't have any momentum. So, on a miss, you fail or your assumptions betray you. So, even though Mortar attempts to quickly get into an alleyway, there is a dead end. It was just bad timing. There's a fence, and he's there. So we got to pay the price. Now, pay the price, you typically choose what's most relevant here, or you can roll. I have a tendency to do both, I think. I'm not sure what the percentage is on which of which one. But basically, let's look at the options here. We got roll again. A person or community you trust that loses faith in you. A person or community you care about is exposed. You are separated from something or someone. Well, they are technically separated from the kid, but the kid's hiding, so I'm not too worried about that right now. Okay, sorry, had a phone call. Back to this. Now, as one of my commenters mentioned, Ironsworn is a very, not a difficult game to grasp. It took me some time, but difficult in terms of the character, against the character, like against all odds. The character can definitely struggle and die pretty quick. Kind of depending on how you treat Fates or games like original D&D games, the original, batch, you have very low hit points, so it depends on how you treat it. I'm going to give a little advantage here though it's not what you expect. Earlier in the game, in this arc, we discovered that Morter, because he's a descendant of Ashford, the Shadows have a connection to him. Now, the prior encounter with the Shadows in the church, the Shadows were limited to the church. Though Morter wasn't really under any danger, stress, like it was stress looking for his father, but those little shadowy tentacles were just kind of there for a moment, and they guided him in. They are to an extent sentient. So here's what we do. Mortar, the complication that I chose for Pay the Price here is that a surprising development complicates your quest, while also the current situation worsens. The current situation worsens because the big guy, the barbarian, has Mortar cornered. There's literally no way out. Mortar can probably do some Jackie Chan jumping over the fence, but again, he's beaten, he's dispirited, and he has no supply. So he is at the threshold of death. Not death, but like a mental capacity. So Mortar is he turns around and sees this big silhouette of the barbarian walking, laughing. Maybe he has a club with him or has a weapon of sorts, and he's trying to intimidate Mortar. He asks Mortar, "Now, before I beat you to death, tell me where the prisoners are." And Mortar is obviously not going to talk. He doesn't really know where they are anyways, besides the kid. But because the Griff is dead, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, the kid's right next door. He's hiding underneath some wood plank. Please don't hurt me." He's not going to do that. So that was definitely out of character. But I'm going to do something here that I added yesterday, because I thought of those shadowy forces that Mortar and his brother Holf have some kind of control of. I added a asset card yesterday to Mortar called Tether. I'm going to kind of modify the description here, but basically it says when you commune with the spirits of a place, which we are in a site, a holy site of the Dark Realms, then roll plus heart. If you share a bond with someone, which is again the site, our father, essentially Griff, post mortem, and whoever's helping us, we'll find out here in a second. So when you undertake a journey to return, you may roll. Again, there's a bunch of different methods to use here. But what I'm going to do for this roll, I'm going to kind of tweak it a bit so that when I roll plus heart, here's what Mortar is doing. Mortar has like a necklace of his, maybe his father and his mother, or basically a necklace with something that reminds him of his youth, of his his origin story. So he basically starts praying to the gods. He's praying to someone. He's basically begging for power to empower him to help him. And what we're gonna roll is plus heart. So with that on top, we're going to include a +1 because of the spirits of the dark realms that linger in this area. Not just the church anymore. The power has been growing. Not in a bad way, but this will benefit. So we're gonna roll plus heart. This isn't really a move per se. This roll is coming off the card. Again, this is I believe a house hack that I'm doing here. So heart is 2 with the bond is 3. We'll see if this actually helps. So 1, so that's a 4, so it does not help. Okay. That did not work out the way I thought. So basically, it doesn't really work out. The hmm. So he's okay. So he's chatting, he's praying, attempting to pray to help someone help him, and this is what's going to transpire. We're going to that obviously did not work. So enter the fray. I'm going to take a journey. We're not really done. We're going to enter the fray. So Mortar is just going to have to attempt to fight on his own. I was thinking if spirits are going to help him, but again that roll failed, I allowed it to happen, but again the roll didn't happen, which is kind of contradicting what I said earlier. My apologies for the inconsistency here, but trying to give Mortar a bump here, trying to give him an edge. So we'll enter the fray, and this is strictly with the barbarian. So don't count the spirits out just yet. So I'm going to write down barbarian, and he is going to be very troublesome, but we also might have some good dice rolls. This will be dangerous. Most likely be dangerous. Or let's just say let's say troublesome for now. That will be the edge I'm talking about. We'll say troublesome. And then we're going to enter the fray. So we chose the ranking. Now we roll to determine the control. We are facing off against your foes. Roll against heart. Move into position against your ambush. None of those. So it's roll against heart. All right, here we go. So heart will be +2. I'll give a +1 again on that bond from earlier. I'm going to try. Just want to try again. So we're rolling +3 total on this roll. 6. Okay, so that is that's a weak hit. On a weak hit, choose one. You bolster your position, take +2 momentum, prepare to act, take initiative. I'm going to take initiative. So somehow, some way, we get a bump in adrenaline to strike. So now, the tether, not yet. But what we're going to do is use the either duelist combat or blade bound. Oh, I just realized blade bound gives me the +1 on a hit and +1 with the kin blade. So technically, I guess that justifies my +1 from earlier. So I also get a +1 momentum on the hit. I totally forgot about that. There we go. Okay, so I can't use blade bound. I'm going to use duelist now for strike. When you strike or clash, you may add +2 to the side. Inflict 1 plus harm on a strike hit and count a weak hit as a miss. Okay, so we have that card in play. And so we're going to strike. When you have initiative, attack in close quarters, which we're doing, we're rolling plus iron. So here we go. Iron is 2 total with the +2, so that's 4 on this roll. Okay, that's a 6, which it looks like it's a weak hit. And it says, count a weak hit as a miss. Inflict +1 harm on a strong hit and count a weak hit as a miss. +2. So, I believe it's a miss. Okay, so from time to time, the duelist card does confuse me because it says, if you do, decide before rolling, which we did, inflict +1 harm on a strong hit, which it wasn't, and count a weak hit, which we got, as a miss. So it's a miss. That is unfortunate. So it really relies on the strong hit. So this was a weak hit, which means your attack fails, you must pay the price, your foe has initiative. This is not working out for our character, which is kind of pissing me off. So, pay the price. I'll have to go pay the price. I'm still iffy on that card. I just don't know why if I'm misreading that. Inflict +1 harm on a strong hit and count a weak hit as a miss. Do I count the miss as a weak hit? I might have done that before. That feels like a Dungeon World hack. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. That is really confusing. I don't know why. It's plain English. Count a weak hit as a miss. It was a weak hit, but it is a miss on the card. So, we do scrape him, but it does not kill him. So I'm going to do 2 boxes. I won't do full 3 because again I'm misreading the rules here. I'm going to give the benefit to our character, to Morter, but we have to face a price. So let's roll for it. I'm curious what the results will show as we face against this barbarian. As my dice does not want to work here. Whoop. There we go. 33. The current situation worsens. Okay, so the barbarian, he knocks us back. We go flying against the wall. We are going to endure harm now as he hits us. Or this will be a clash, actually, so I can't just say it happens. So he attempts to swing back at us with his arm. He just pushes us back. This will be a clash. Now, a clash is another thing with this one. Though it seems if you use this, you really risk you're hoping for it gives you an extra push for the attack, but you have to rely on a strong hit. That's how I'm reading this card now. I'm going to try it out, Duelist. So a clash. We're rolling iron. So here we go. This will be +4 total on the roll. +4, that is a 2 and a 6. Looks like, I mean, the 8 and the 2 are like practically even. I'm going to go with the 2. 6, so that's 5. That's a weak hit. Some of you might be like, no, that's a miss, but I'm seeing that as a weak hit, which again is a miss because of that. Yep, So your foe's initiative, we do not inflict harm. The foe has initiative. Okay. So he does get us. I'm going to say he does hit us. We'll have to endure harm. I'm going to roll for you suffer health equal to your foe rank and appropriate to the situation. So we then roll plus health or iron, whichever is higher. Iron, they're about the same. So let's roll for that. We have +2 on either of those. There we go. That's right. I take 1 harm. So now I'm down to +1. I'm almost dead. So 6 +2, that's 8. Oh, of course I roll the best after I get hit. That's a strong hit, obviously. A strong hit, shake it off. If your health is greater than 0, suffer minus momentum for a change of 1 health. Embrace the pain. I'm gonna suffer 1 momentum for +1 health. So I'm gonna bump up to +2 and take it back to +2 for the reset of the momentum. Now we are still not having initiative. This is where something happens. So while we are literally at the brink of death, almost, the big guy's coming at us, that's when, not the shadows. Again, I am stepping back from that. The shadows are limited to the church. Not yet. They're not going to pop out and start helping our character, like grabbing the barbarian, tossing him across the alley. While this fight was happening, the mystery hero killed the other archer. They had a little ranger fight, a long range battle, but ultimately the remaining bandit died. So the ranger is dead, and while that's happening, while we were fighting in the alley, an individual cloaked, wearing a hood, comes up and I'm going to say swings a sword a short machete at the barbarian, striking him back, and he screams in pain as he tries to reach for his back. He's not dead yet, so this will give us an advantage. We try to secure an advantage, or we strike. So whoever did this from behind struck the barbarian, causing him to scream in pain and lose initiative. So now we are going to strike with a +1 on this one. So this is going to be iron and +3. So I'm getting a bond here. So rolling +3 on this roll on strike. 2. That's going to be 5. Okay, that's a weak hit. I'm not using my card. That's a weak hit. Inflict your harm and lose initiative. Okay, so we're inflicting my harm, which is going to be 3 boxes. Technically, we're now at... This guy's big. He's not going to go down without a fight. But now we have an ally. So, the barbarian stumbles forward as he's trying to grab his back. He turns, and we strike him in the front. And we strike his legs. And now he's 5 out of 10 boxes filled. He turns around and sees who struck him, and there is a silhouette of a robed individual, cloaked in a robe, with a not machete, but a large. Let's say it's a short sword, as it's shining off the snow, the reflection from the sun. And so now we have an ally, and this is where we'll do a battle. So there's 2 against 1, the battle, and we're going to give a slight advantage because of the ally, the bonus of an ally. We're fighting at using, let's say, trickery to befuddle your opponents, overpower. We're rolling iron. This is just straight up a fight to the death. So I'm getting a +4 in this roll total. 2 bonus with the ally help, and 2 for iron. So we're rolling iron. +4 in this roll for battle. Again, this could go south. Like I said, it could go south. 4, that's 6. It's a weak hit. So a weak hit, you achieve your objective. So we do defeat him. So, like so, but not without cost. Okay, let's see what the cost is. All right, so we defeat him. So the ally shows up to help. But again, this guy was troublesome. This, which matches his narratively, he was more difficult but troublesome on the rank. So we defeat him, and we got to pay the price, though it is a weak hit. I'm going to roll to see if this matches. 58. Let's see who that is. It causes a delay or puts you in a disadvantage. All right. It causes a delay. That's not the worst roll. So causes delay, disadvantage. That's fine. I'll take that. Something is happening in the town. Like this is not good. Maybe the reinforcements is arriving. So I'm going to roll action theme to see what it could be. If I don't like it, we might roll for plot twist. Let's do the first to the 2d10s. 53. Begin. That's ominous. Then we have 66. Begin community. Uh-oh. Okay. Begin community. Okay. So, this is interesting. Begin community. I'm also curious about rolling a plot twist. I just want to see how these two compare. So it's a plot twist is usually on the, I think one of the final pages here. Major plot twist. Let's see. I'm going to roll for that. I'm still considering begin community. It has to do something with the villagers of Arlok. 41. You and an enemy share a common goal. Huh. Oh. Interesting. Very interesting. A common goal. So the enemy and my enemy is our friend. Enemy, common goal. Here's what's going on. While we remember the frost hands from earlier, I'm also going to update my character list with the death of Griffin. I might end up forgetting him actually. So yeah, he's DED dead. There we go. That's a joke from Robin Hood Men in Tights. If you haven't seen that. All right, so the Frost Hams, they are the dominant crime syndicate. I'm sorry, Cold Fronts. We are with the Frost Hands. The Cold Fronts have followed us all the way to Arlok. And so the Cold Front are here. Or is the Cold Front? I think it is. Frost Hands are probably don't have the resources to help. I think the Cold Front, knowing that we actually defeated or killed their own those two Cold Front members much earlier in this arc, arrive. But why are they helping us? It's because we've been dealing with their competitor of the land. That is the Misfits. So, some more lore here as I sharpen my pencil. The Cold Fronts are mortal enemies of the Misfits. And seeing as we defeated a handful of them, at the moment are fighting in them right at the moment, or we defeated them. The Cold Fronts are mortal enemies, rivals to the Misfits. I'm going to write that down here, which makes sense. So we're still on episode 9. Episode 9. Cold Fronts. Because again, Cold Fronts are the most dominant, powerful crime syndicate that commands Corewood, that run it. Cold Fronts, rivals to the Misfits. And Misfits probably could have been one of the 5 or 6 crime families. I keep saying families or syndicates, same thing. Crime syndicates in Corewood, but they were kicked out or they were driven out by the Cold Fronts. So Misfits had to hide out in the mountains while taking supplies from Arlok. That makes sense. It also makes sense for the Cold Fronts to have followed. Scouts are pretty common in these areas apparently. So scouts were following Morter on his venture, seeing as what he was doing, keeping an eye on him, keeping tabs on him. So they ended up saving the day here. They actually ended up joining the fray. But there's a price to pay. So even though they had a likely enemy, which was the Misfits, they are still at odds with Morter. So it's this robed individual. He takes off his hood. It's just a random guy. It's a random cold front member. He sees a tattoo. Maybe there's an emblem on his neck, a tattoo on his neck. And Morter sees this. He still has his weapon drawn. He's panting. He's tired. He is like still holding his own with the knife. He says, he's like gasping for air. He's like, "Why did you help me?" He says, "You're with the cold fronts. Why did you help me?" And the guy says, "Well," as he's kind of taking a few steps back with the sword drawn, and he's looking around to see if there's any more misfits around. He says, you know very well we're not best friend, we're not friends with the misfits, and in fact, you actually took some out. Let's say intrigued us. So he said the fact you took some out intrigued us, but we're not done yet. We're not done with you. So consider us even. Now he departs. So here's what I'm saying: the fact that he took a few members out of the Misfits counts as even because maybe they had a struggle lately. The Misfits can those captured individual. There it is. That's perfect. So the prisoners that Mortar released were literal prisoners, cold front members that he neglected to notice. They freed and they were rescued or went back to to Corwood. That makes perfect sense. I'm going to write that down here briefly. It's a strange system, but basically, if you kill a cold front member, which is punishable by death, but if you redeem yourself in their eyes, then you are spared. It consider like a I don't know. It's a strange little mix of theocracy with this blunt criminal um, governing style. So governing body. So basically, he says the fact, unbeknownst, he says you freed a few of our high appointed officials from their camp, and Mortar's like, that's who they were. That's who they were. Like he's recalling now, like he can believe it. And so the man puts his hood back on. He says, "We'll be watching you," and he basically leaves the area. So now Mortar is just standing there with blood on his hands, literally, not like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" He's he's confused, and he's also like glad. It's like this is the plot twist I really wanted. So he's going to, as always, he's going to loot the barbarian, which will indeed give him. Actually, let's do a supply roll. I'll give a +2 because the barbarian guy most likely is the muscle and had plenty of resources on him, and the other two that were killed out there. So let's do +3 on this roll for maximum. So the fight's over. Combat's done. We didn't officially end it, but it's been ended with narratively. And so we're going to resupply with +3, 2 per. So let's say +4. Yeah, I'm glad I did +4. So 9 is a strong hit. 4 because two per carrot enemy we killed. So that's 9 over those 2. Resupply on a strong hit. You bolster your resources. Take +2 supply. All right, so we're back up to 2, and then trying to think here. So while he is looting, looking around, making sure there's no one else around, and it doesn't see any misfits, well, let's ask the Oracle. 50% chance, 50. Because I think the misfit gang, the boss, whoever it is, we haven't really touched base on that, but the boss can trust the muscle and the spy to handle it, the ones he sent out. But if they don't return in time, they might become suspicious. So let's give it a 50% chance. Is there backup coming? 50% chance. Yeah, there is. Though they are far out. So there is backup coming. I'm going to say in a few hours. He doesn't know that yet, but I think Mortar suspects it. A few hours, backup is coming. I'm going to say the Misfits, the backup. I can't forget this. Backup is coming. We've taken out what, like 5, 6 of them? A handful of Misfits. 3 underneath that fire, and then these 3 here. So 6 total. I don't recall if we took out anyone in the camp. I don't think we did. Anyways, I'm not really keeping tally of it. More of a narrative approach. Okay, so we are outside the house. We hear crying. And it turns out we turn around, we go up to the door with our weapon drawn. We see Albin holding his father, and the mother walks in crying as she's gasping in horror, seeing her husband killed. Blood is on the floor. He's dead. His eyes are closed. Albin Albin still has a robe, and he looks up and shouts, "Why didn't you help him?" His mother is speechless. She drops her knees and holding Griffin as they hug him, and Albin is looking. Albin's confused. We helped him though through shenanigans ensued with the teleporting robe that he still has on, and the mother doesn't exactly know what happened. She just probably escaped or was hiding also with Albin. But yeah, Albin is like, "Why didn't you help?" And Mortar is like, he like drops to his knees. Well, he wasn't like best friends with Griff. I'm gonna say he doesn't drop to his knees. He just kind of looks, not a blank stare, but an upset look on his face, and he says, kind of underneath, he says under his breath, he says, "I'm sorry, I tried." And Albin takes credit. So Mortar turns away back to the site of all this death and destruction ish, and with that, um, Mortar basically decides to go back to church. Mortar's not. I haven't really described if Mortar's a religious person per se, but he's going to go back to church because that's really the only site that has any correlation to anything that's going on here or any relation to what's going on. So Mortar makes his way, briskly walks back to the church. The doors open for him. The wind gust blows and doors open. He looks inside, and let's do a plot twist. So he's at the church, and we're going to do a plot twist. So again, the arc. Oh yeah, that's right. So right, we return to our. Let's step back a bit. We have to do a progress. We have come back to our luck. That is completed. It's a journey. So it's not a vow. It's a journey. The missing son of our. We have again that we close that off, but the journey is, let's say, test your bond. I'm seeing moves on the relationship when I haven't used often, like test your bond, aid your ally. Oh, this is perfect. All right, we're definitely stepping back. So I'm gonna cross off the church here. We're testing our bond with Albin and his family. So this will be when your bond is tested through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance. Roll plus heart. Okay, so actually, yeah, we're gonna take a step back narratively before Albin says, "How could you? I blame you for this." We're basically gonna do a roll here, plus heart. This is +2 in the roll. I just noticed. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's actually a good roll. So +2 is 6. Okay, it's a weak hit. So on a weak hit, your bond is fragile, and you must prove your loyalty. Envision what they ask of you, and do it. Swear an iron vow. If you refuse or fail, clear the bond and pay the price. Oh, okay. So we're doing another vow. This is this is a vow. So, on a weak hit, your bond is fragile. You must prove your loyalty. Envision what they ask of you. The mother, mainly, the boy says, "What happened? What did you do?" And the mother looks up. Singh says, "Who did this?" And Mortar is still there. He's basically, so the mother and son. She says, "Who?" She's crying and tears down her eyes. She says, "Who did this?" And Mortar says, "I will avenge your father's death. I will avenge Swift's death. He was a good man. He entrusted me, and I failed him. He died because of me. I will find them. I will kill them myself. I will avenge his death." That's the Iron Vow. So we are doing avenge. Basically, you know what? This will take over. This will take over Return to Arlok. I'm going to modify the rules here. I'm going to modify the Return to Arlok vow and say avenge Griff's death. Which is interesting because remember our father situation, that's still in the background, but that's a long vow. So this will be okay. That's what they ask us, and then we do it. We have to swear the Iron Vow. So we are taking over an existing vow. So I'm not really sure how to do this. but I will consider it a potential milestone if possible. Let's just roll another iron vow. We'll blend the rules together here, and the bond is the family, so that's a +1. We're rolling plus heart, so this is +2, a 3 total. 4. That's a weak hit. I don't have momentum to bump that up, so a weak hit. Yep, that's a weak hit. You are determined, but begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum and envision what you find your path forward. Okay, so we do take +1 momentum. We have a new vow, but the problem is, here we go. Okay, +1 momentum, and we have a new vow, or I should say, a journey to avenge Griff's death. Okay. The problem is we are at a disadvantage. It's just one of us, and Morter has this inkling that they are coming, so he's at a disadvantage in regards to manpower. So that's the disadvantage with the weak hit. As I'm interpreting it. So does this mark a milestone? We did technically defeat uh, the muscle, so probably the strongest of the misfits. I'm guessing there's probably 5 or 6 more left. Let's just say there's 5 more left. 5 more misfits left. And remember, the avenging the cold fronts, they're gone. They're out of here. They're probably following us somehow, but we are even with debt. We have no more debt to pay. So they're very lenient, I should say. We killed 2 of the members much earlier in this arc, and like, you know what? You took out a few of our competitors. That's fine. You're good to go. Uh, just check out when you leave. So this will be we're basically marking. This is a dangerous quest. We're marking 2 boxes. Because here's why I'm doing this. They're coming to us. We don't have to go back and venture out, but this gives us time to set up camp, which will be in the church. So now we're going to the church. We tell the mother and father we're going to avenge Griff's death. We're sorry this happened. They really don't have an option here. What are they going to do? Throw apples at us? So then we're going to go back to the church, and with the doors, a gust of wind opens the doors, and we're going to make camp in the church. Well, we're going to not really necessarily make camp. We're going to heal. So let me go back to heal. We're trying to treat our injuries, and we're no longer unprepared. I forgot to mark that off some time ago. And we're gathering, let's see, heal your injuries, roll plus wits. If you're mending your own wounds, which we are, roll plus wits or iron, whichever's lower. Wits or iron. Iron's lower, so +2. But because we have the advantage inadvertently in the church, that gives us a +1. So I'm going to consider the default of wits at +3. The church is giving us a little boost in, let's say, plot device. So I'm going to do a +3 here on this roll. So basically wits. Here we go. We're healing ourselves. We're mending. We're mending our own wounds. That is a 6, 7, 8. That's a strong hit. Okay. And nope, those are not matching. Strong hit. You care is helpful. If you or an ally in the care have wounded condition, you may clear. Then take or give up +2 health. Okay. Your care is helpful. Then take up or give up to +2 health. All right, so +2 health. Now we're +4. And because we're in the church, he's going to pray. This, I think, is relationship or something else. Let's see here. I'm flipping to the pages, trying to figure out basically to increase our spirit, which I thought was actually a move. Basically, I'm trying to find out how we increase our spirit, which will be most likely forge a bond, an ally, test your bond. Okay. Well, okay. Well, we do come to the church seeking guidance, so we're going to. One second. We're going to sojourn, if I'm pronouncing that right. When you spend time in community seeking assistance, we are. So we're seeking assistance in church. We're praying to our gods. We're dropped to our knees in front of the altar. We know that the spirits are kind of lingering a bit. They're not really helping out yet. We're praying. So he is praying. Here we go. So we're going to roll for it. We share a bond with the church, and we share with the site, I should say, the holy site, and the heart. So that's going to be 3 total on this roll. Here we go. This will be 6, which is a weak hit, as expected. Okay, a weak hit. On a hit, let's say a strong hit, which we didn't do. On a weak hit, choose 1. If you share a bond, choose 1 more. So we choose 2. So on a hit, you and your allies may each focus 1 if you have a share bond, and +2 on a strong hit. Oh, that's for an ally. Okay. So we're choosing 2, which means clear condition, equip, clear, and up. We don't recover. Take +2 yourself or companions. Take +2 spirit. Health is good. I'm going to do take +2 spirit. And then we can equip later. Take +2 momentum. So +2 momentum. We're up to 6. Okay, so it really helped here. Now, while we're praying, so a little check mark there, we hear a voice come out to us. And it catches us off guard. So Morter, whether or not he's religious, I don't think he's I think he does believe in a general God of sorts, whatever God they believe in. He hears a voice. It's a whisper coming from the floorboards. He sees like sparkles of black dust coming up. Speaks to him, and he hears that they're coming. It says more coming. Danger. You are in danger. So Mortar's thinking, what's going on? So he runs out of the church. He's looking around, and he's thinking to himself. He's connecting the dots that, yeah, this most likely is the Misfits. So the Misfits are on their way. So hint from the forces, the spiritual forces, that there's more coming. Misfits are coming. Okay. I'm feeling like from Kung Pao, not Kung Pao, Kung Pao Into the Fist. Not Kung Fury, but Kung Pao Into the Fist, where it's like, the lady screaming, Chosen One, I'm coming! He keeps coming, like, it keeps running over and over. Or like from Mind to Python, where they keep cutting back to the guy running. He's always in the distance, and the guards are looking, and then he pops out nowhere and stabs them. The music kicks in. That's what I'm thinking, like, well, Mortar's looking out in the distance, and he sees the horseback, and then all of a sudden they trample him. But yeah, that's where we're going to leave off. So he's looking around, and maybe he does actually indeed see the Misfits in the distance on horseback. They're actually approaching the village. So they're probably a few hundred yards out. So I'm going to put an exclamation mark, and Mortar has to supply quickly. Mortar has to prepare. And we can't forget the villagers. Are they going to help? I've been kind of thinking about that lately. So, all right. This episode was all over the place. I had a few bad rolls or a few mess ups on my part, but I think we kept trucking along. And that prisoner story tie was I really loved it, and I hope you guys enjoyed that too. That really made a lot of sense. And so I love moments like that. I was like, oh my god, that actually makes complete sense. So when when the dots connect inadvertently or like out of the blue, it makes it all the better. So as always, I will see you guys, and let me do my finisher here. So, well, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this telling. Please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment. See you in the next entry.